Investigates has new developments tonight in the deadly MoDOT work zone crash. The only highway worker who survived has just been fired. He has been on disability leave due to his severe injuries.
And last November, the MoDOT work crew was working along Telegraph Road at I-255 in St. Louis County when a driver plowed through the work zone. James Brooks and Caitlin Anderson, who was 6 months pregnant, were both killed. Michael Brown has been left with likely lifelong challenges. Tonight, News 4 investigator Susan Elcoria explains why MoDOT just decided to let him go.
You know, you can see my gait's not like a normal gait.
Steps towards recovery should be Michael Brown's focus.
I have no way to support my family now.
Instead, he believes the crash that left him with lifelong injuries also cost him his job.
I was set up to get let go so they could stop paying disability benefits because I was upsetting the higher-ups.
This termination letter from MoDOT says Brown was fired due to your admission that you use marijuana.
Actually,
Brown doesn't deny using pot and says he needs it because the crash left him with severe fractures and a traumatic brain injury.
for the pain and the depression, the psychological, my increased irritability, like it says in the report, it was used to mellow me out.
According to MoDOT, the department's personnel policy bans employees from taking any illegal drugs or controlled substances which might impair performance during working hours. MoDOT says the exception is when it's prescribed by a person licensed to practice medicine.
Was it ever prescribed to you medically?
At this point, it has not been, but everyone I've talked to said you would easily get your medical card. You know, I mean, let's be honest. You know, I've read some of the qualifying conditions for getting your medical card. You know, chronic pain, yep. Limb pain, yep. PTSD, yep.
Brown never told anyone at the department about this. MoDOT found out from a doctor Brown was required to see.
Immediately when they said that it was revealed from a doctor, I started raising objections. Well, what about doctor-patient confidentiality?
The letter claims that wasn't an issue. On August 23rd, MoDOT had Brown complete an independent medical examination to help determine if he could return to work. They say at the appointment, Brown voiced acknowledgement there would be limits to confidentiality.
I was under the impression that I could talk openly with the doctor and nothing I said specifically would be told to my employer. I was under the impression it would just be a summary of her thoughts on my psychological state.
MoDOT says the doctor reviewed an extensive number of Brown's medical records, which noted his use of marijuana. MoDOT claims Brown told the doctor he used weed on a regular basis and didn't express a desire to discontinue using it.
It would be one thing if I was working and my actions could make them liable for something, but I'm sitting at home. There's no liability to MoDOT.
We tried to ask MoDOT about what happened. A department spokeswoman sent us this email saying MoDOT does not discuss personnel matters.
That's their excuse to get rid of me.
What do you think is the real reason?
Because of all these interviews, that's why.
Brown sat down with News 4 Investigates multiple times. The most recent interview was a few weeks before he was fired.
Still medically, I am in a point where I'm still on total disability.
So if you wanted to go find another job tomorrow?
I couldn't.
The department will have to keep paying for his medical care related to the crash.
I have to
But anything else,
take it one step at a time.
Brown is on his own.
How am I supposed to drive all the way over to Missouri to meet with these doctors they had me meet with? You know, how am I supposed to pay for that gas if I have no income now?
At this point, Michael Brown tells us he still hasn't been able to get a copy of the medical report that all of this stems from. One of the big questions here is what information did he agree to have released? We asked MoDOT for a copy of that, but haven't gotten one. We'll let you know when we find out. Susan Elcoria, News 4 Investigates.
4 Investigates is uncovering a lot more to this story. We're talking to a recently fired MoDOT supervisor about why she says employees don't have key safety training and why some aren't following policies.
Somebody on the ground, and I mean boots on the ground, an employee that works, has to take the fall for their mistakes. They'll never admit that the higher up don't even know what they're doing.
And our investigating is getting the attention of a Missouri lawmaker who now wants to change a law. He says MoDOT is taking advantage of a loophole in the state's workers' comp law.
they've admitted that they have failed, but the way that the state law is that they don't have to be held accountable.
And this is a law that could apply to companies and workers across the state. News 4 will continue monitoring all of these updates. You can see all of our investigations in the wake of this crash on our KMOV News app and our website, KMOV.com. And remember, News 4 is always watching out for you. So if you have a problem, contact 4. Email investigates@KMOV.com. You can also send your story on Facebook or call the newsroom tip line.